What's up, everyone? Welcome to another edition of I Speak Music. I am your host, Dre the Drummer, and today we have a very special guest on the line, like always. All of our guests are always special. If you'd like to be a guest on our show, just email us at iSpeak-M.U.S.I.C 2 at gmail.com. Again, the email address is iSpeak-M.U.S.I.C 2 at gmail.com. Sit back, relax, grab you something to eat, or maybe even something to drink. Because today we're going to have us a great conversation that you will enjoy. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We have our guest here on the line. What's up, man? How you doing?
I'm doing all right. Sitting here chilling.
Sitting here chilling, man. I feel you, man. We all wish we could chill, but we kind of still are because we still dealing with this COVID situation, man. How are you handling, man? How are you going through with this COVID situation?
It's all right. I'm an extrovert, so I have to be out. Like I have to talk to somebody.
Yeah.
So I just been like, if I feel the need to go out, I'll get in my car and just drive, or get some ice cream or something to eat, and then come back. You know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Before we get started, I feel you, man. I do the same thing, man. Sometimes I just gotta see outside, man. I just gotta get out these 4 hours, man. Gotta enjoy outside, man. But before we get started with today's conversation, man, introduce yourself, man. Tell everyone who you are.
All right, I am Jalen Thompson. I am 19. I'm a junior at Oakwood University. I'm from Raleigh, North Carolina. I'm just glad to be here.
All right, glad to have you, man. Thanks for stopping by and spending some time with us, man, and sharing your story and your journey with us. What do you play? What's your instrument?
My predominant instrument is organ and keys.
Organ and keys. But I feel like you want to tell us that you play a little of something else too.
I played bass, but
okay.
I strayed away from it. I get into it later. I used to play drums, but now I suck, so I don't even got that.
Okay. So organ and keys, we'll stay there. So when did it all start? When did you fall in love with music? How old were you?
The love for music came when I was pretty much straight out the womb, to be honest. So what happened was I was like maybe let's say about 2 or 3, and I went to this Pentecostal school. I was Seventh-day Adventist, of course. I grew up Seventh-day Adventist, but I used to live in Jacksonville. My dad was stationed there. He was Marines, and my mom took me to this school, and it was this lady that had a guitar, and I always was, drawn to it. It was an acoustic guitar, so my mama bought me one, and I have like 4 or 5 guitars now. They're little,
Yeah.
I used to play when I was young. They look rough now, and I would I didn't know what I was doing. I was just strumming like crazy. I would get upset because I couldn't play it at church. They used to let me sometimes, but it wasn't like a every week thing. I used to do that till I was about maybe 5 or 6. So they was like, well, we see you want to do it, so let's get him into some lessons. So it was a lady named, you're going to laugh at his name, Andy Mae Woods. This white lady from back home, from Jackson, North Carolina. She started teaching me chords and stuff on the guitar. And I stayed with it for about 6 months to a year. And one day, we used to sit on the piano bench. She would teach me. And I was out looking at the piano. I'm like, I want to learn how to play the piano. She was like, well, your mom is paying for, she was an older lady, real old lady. Your mom is paying for guitar lessons. I was like, but I want to play the piano because my older cousin, Danielle, she would play the piano, and she would play the hymns or whatever. She was about 2 years older than me. And one day when nobody was looking, I would just start playing and stuff, and I didn't know what I was doing. So I told her, I wanted to play. So she used to teach me a little bit, and then I forgot what happened, but we stopped taking lessons on her.
This is facts.
So we had a drum set. I used to play that, and I was playing that, and my mom and dad, they got a divorce. He was living in Greenville, North Carolina. We was in a little town called Conway, North Carolina. It's about an hour and 30 minutes away. So he would take me to his church with him. He went to KCC, Cornelia Christian Center in Greenville. And I met this guy there named Mr. Robert. I got interested in the bass guitar all of a sudden. So Mr. Robert was like, hey, I'll teach you. I'll take you up under my wing. Dude went and spent his own money. I ain't had to pay for nothing. My parents had to pay for anything. Went and bought me a bass guitar. And he started teaching me how to play. And we used to watch YouTube videos, and I eventually got good enough, and I started playing for this A.M.E. church with my mom. My mom plays keys as well. I started playing with her at this church called Allen Chapel A.M.E. Church. And I used to bounce back and forth between the drum set and the bass, depending on who was there. Where is he from? He's from New York. He went to Oakwood as well. I remember he was like, hey, I want an organ, whatever. I had been looking at him, but I, didn't think anything of it. It was like, I want an organ or whatever. And the church didn't approve it or whatever. So we didn't have the funds. It's a small church. He was like, okay, cool. We came at the choir rehearsal, and it was a white Hammond sitting in there with a black 760 layers. I'll never forget it. It was an A102. And he was like, who gonna play it? And I was like, well, I guess I will. I try to. And I used to tinker around on it or whatever. I didn't really get serious about it at the time.
How old were you about this time?
I hadn't gotten to high school yet. I was getting ready to go to high school. I was in late middle school, about 8th grade. And he had put a sign on it that said, if you don't have permission to play this instrument, don't play it or whatever, something like that. It wasn't necessarily directed at me, but it was just in general. So my mom always had thought, oh, you can't play it. So I had started taking keys more serious, and I would start playing and stuff, and I wanted organ lessons, So I would go back to the same church my dad was at, and there was a young man there that used to play there for a couple of years. I ain't gonna call his name, but he gave me one lesson. I still got the piece of paper that he wrote the preacher chords on. He taught them to me. He was like, go home and learn this. I was like, it was in C, never forget. I said, I don't need to go home and learn it because I already know it. And he was like, well, let's see. He had played it and everything. We was up there about 30 minutes after church. So I played what he taught me, and he was like, all right, cool. We'll just come back up here next week. And never was the next week. The church got big. He would see me coming and would literally go in the back because he knew I couldn't go back there. And the kids
was like, you ain't gonna outshine me. You ain't gonna outshine me.
And it won't even like that in my eyes. I was just trying to learn. And some things had correlated with him or whatever. I don't know why he's not there no more, but he's not there anymore. Then there's a guy named Brenton that came. Now, Brenton sold into me a lot. Brenton took the time out. I paid Brenton now because Brenton got a degree. So I said, I'm going to pay you, I know you do good work. I want to be under you. So for about all through that whole summer, actually, I would drive. I got my learner's permit and stuff. I would drive from Raleigh down to Greenville, about an hour and a half, just so he can teach me lessons. And then after the lessons, they had praise team rehearsal. Then they had prayer meeting. And he would just let me sit on the organ and play. And I wasn't the greatest at that time. I can say that. I was not.
It was just the opportunity he was giving you. You was using that for your advantage.
It was. I had skipped a little small part. I'm gonna go back about a year. My mom, I got married to this guy named Terrence Best, and they're still married. His dad played keys and organ too, so I went and spent the weekend with him, and spent up all Friday night from about maybe 9 o'clock to about 2 in the morning, just playing on the keyboard. And before that, we had went to choir rehearsal, and I played the organ. I wasn't really good at organ like that. Like I was just playing, just to play. So that next day, that Saturday, we went to this quartet concert. I don't know how I ended up there. I was up there, and I was playing with him. I was getting ready to get up. You know how quartet concerts go. They be like, "Hey, can you play?
Can you play for me? Can you play for me?"
Right.
Song you singing.
Right. And then listen, I ended up playing the whole service, and I ended up going on a funeral with this guy named Chris. I don't know how I ended up doing all this stuff. I couldn't play like that. And I never really, people never understood it, but I ain't never really told this part, but I never transposed either.
Mm.
I couldn't because I learned on an upright and pretty much a Hammond, so I couldn't transpose. It was no transpose.
Nah.
So it wasn't a transpose. So I did that, got the lessons with Brenton, and I took those lessons, I think, all the way up until I was getting ready to go to college. And about that time, I had started like playing for real. I had maybe about 4 churches, I think.
So tell me, this is like during high school, middle school. You've been playing since high school and middle school. How did that affect your school? Like, did it affect your grades any? Were your grades always good? Were you always told that if your grades don't stay up, you're gonna not play? Like, what was that like?
Yeah. Yeah, that's how I went. Because I would practice more. I would literally practice like 3 hours a day. Because I learned like very quickly. I don't know how it happened, but I learned very quickly. And my mom would take the power cord to the keyboard and put it in her room. And I got smart. I said, well, I started looking. I'm like, this is IEC. We got a lot of things.
I'm gonna buy me one to find me one.
No, I already had one. I had like 3 or 4. Like, I think it was an IEC that goes to the Xbox. I took from my Xbox. I was like, let me get it. And I started doing that, man. And I don't think I ever told her to this day. I used to sneak and play. Like I would have to.
That's some dedication right there.
It is. And my 9th grade, was it 9th grade year? 10th grade year. I met my best friend in high school named Khalil Moore. By this time I had experience in the Seventh-day Adventist church. I played for a Baptist church. I was playing for AME. I always saw the Church of God and Christ stuff. I saw the Kojic stuff. Church of God in Christ. I saw Apostolic. That's what it was. Saw the Apostolic Church stuff. And I would emulate it, but I've never been really into it. Mm-hmm. So what I did was, I met Khalil. Me and him was in orchestra together. I was playing double bass. And he was playing double bass. And I was like, this is casual conversation. I'm like, what you doing this weekend? He said, going to church. I'm like, oh, what church you go to? He was telling me or whatever. And then he heard I play the keys. He was like, hey, you should come through. I was like, all right, cool. They had a organ there, and the pastor played, and his son played as well. And they would let me play sometime. But this is the thing. His pastor was very strict. Like, if it's something he didn't like or it didn't sound right, he would look at me and then come sit back down on the organ or tip his son back on. And it taught me a lot. Like, and people say, like, the way they learn how to play is to get embarrassed.
Yeah.
Very true.
It is very, very true.
Very true. Like, he's sewn into me, I think, more than he thinks he had. I never really mentioned it to him. Mm-hmm. I think I am going to kind of call him and tell him about it, or send him a text message and tell him. But he really did so into me. He taught me how the art of flowing and following somebody. Because I'm not gonna lie, people not gonna like this, but the Adventist church don't teach you that all the time.
Yeah.
They don't even like, I don't think, talk music sometimes. Not really. They just want you to play the hymns. They still do hymns, but they get into more praise and worship stuff now. But it was a time where we just done straight hymns, no talk music. After you finish playing that hymn, you just stop playing. There was no closing out the pastor.
Yeah. No. You're right. You taking it way back, man. You taking it back. You soul there. Oh, soul there. Well, you did say you've been starting since you was like 5 or 6.
Yeah, I wish I would have started organ and keys more when I was young.
Anyway, but yeah, how have music helped you in your life in growing as a person?
It taught me how to deal with people. Whether it got anything to do with music or not. Something had to do with people, and it taught me business. People really don't fail to realize that, and some of these churches fail to realize that church, in a way, is a business and has to be operated sometimes like a business. What I mean by that is, so say you the pastor, you my boy, whatever. We friends, we close. But when it come down to, hey, can you come play for me for this revival or whatever for a week? I'm going to say, hey, doc, this is my price. This is what I charge. And if you can't do that price or whatever, either that's my time to say, hey, I can do it for that, or I can't do it for that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it just depends. Like, you know, it's just business. You just gotta learn how to operate. That's one thing I would tell young musicians. I'm still young too, but younger than me. You just starting out. Don't know your worth. I'll put it to you that way. These churches will pimp you out if you let, like, for real. Like, they will have you coming in there playing for $25 and stuff. Like, full service. They want band rehearsal. They want choir rehearsal. They want you to teach the part. They want you to bring your stuff. But they don't show their appreciation by paying you. You know what I'm saying? Because I always tell people this. The guy it was a video that went viral. They said the reason why we pay our musicians is this. Musician can walk back in the back.
It can't usher. Yeah, I saw that clip.
But usher can't walk up there and play the organ.
No.
It just ain't gonna happen. And yeah, people got to realize that. You know, just know your worth. Like, for real, taught me how to deal with people. Let me touch on that. I've had some choir members, because I'm younger. I used to play at a church named Parker's Grove Baptist Church. They were traditional, and I enjoyed my time there. I was there pretty much all through high school except my last year of high school. And I was playing there, and when I first got there, I had some issues with the male course. You know, I was asking the bass player, me and him real cool now. I love the dude to death. I was telling him to go to a 4, and he was going to a 3 instead. And I was like, hey, you going to a 4?
Sound. That's a weird sound.
Yeah, I told him, I said, you going to a 3, and I need you to go to a 4. He was like, so you mean to tell me that I'm playing the bass wrong? I was like, no. I said, I'm just saying your bass might be out of tune. He was like, well, I've been playing the bass before you were born. I said, I understand that. We had a whole spiel about it. Like, it was a big mess. I was to the point, I was like, listen, I'm getting ready I ain't got to deal with this here. I'll go somewhere else. And I, you know, had that conversation, you know, with him, and he understood what I was saying at the end of the day. And we started to mesh. You know, we good now. But it takes stuff like that for you to be able to gel with somebody. It's not gonna always be peaches and cream every time.
Yeah.
Not.
That is definitely facts. Tell us what genre? Do you just play gospel, or do you play multiple genres?
It's a good question. I did just play gospel for all of my life. Just played gospel until I got that call from Chris Slavage. His wife, Tarana. Big shout out to her. Love her to death. Love the Sledge family. She called me. She said, hey, he called me actually. Chris called me. He said, hey, I need you to do, you heard about Sharana doing this live recording thing for the Juneteenth thing. And he was like, do you want to do it? It's like, yeah, I want to do it. You know, Sharana, I like Sharana. I heard she do great things. Yes, I want to do something, you know, musically.
Yeah, work with her. Yeah.
I want to work with her. Got there, and she was like, I'm going to send you the music. I'm thinking it's going to be like stuff you out my strength or something like that.
Yeah.
It wasn't that. It was stuff like, and I'm grateful for the experience because it taught me how to expand my genres and expand my mind. We were doing stuff like Brother by Angie. What's her last name? Stone? Is Stone?
Yeah.
Brother. We did Don't Touch My Hair by Solange. We did James Brown stuff. We did James Brown stuff. We did some of everything. And it just taught me that I can do it, because I was trying to do jazz in high school. It's a jazz group. This dude named Malcolm wanted me to do it. But he was like, when you play, you sound too churchy. I'm like, how do I sound churchy? But now I understand what that means and what that sounds like.
Yeah.
Like how not to make stuff churchy. Like certain movements can make it sound churchy. Certain voices can make it sound churchy. So
So what advice would you give a person? You say you're 19, but you've been through a lot of situations. You've been through a lot of things when it comes to churches, music, growing, expanding your horizons. What advice would you give someone coming up about staying with it, practicing? Because practicing in, you had your own chord, You know, you went to spend a night with people, stayed up all night practicing. That's 100% dedication. So that means you definitely have a vision. So what advice would you give someone coming up, man?
I would give them this advice. I would tell them to first keep God first. Because I'm going to tell you something.
Yeah.
It wasn't until I started playing, that's how I figured out what my anointing was. It wasn't until I started playing keys, organ, and started getting into these directing choirs and stuff like that. Until that's when the devil started to come. I'll put it that way. Mm-hmm. The devil started to come. He's not going to mess with you long as you are just out and about. And I wasn't doing nothing crazy or nothing. But I wasn't, what's the word? Playing the drums and stuff was cute. Playing the guitar and stuff, that was all right. But where I really started to touch people is when I started playing keys and when I started playing organ, and that's what the devil didn't like. Man, I used to go through stuff like crazy. I had a problem with like rejection. Mm-hmm. That was my big, and I'm just honestly not getting over it. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, church hurt and stuff like that is real. It didn't happen at my home church, but it was like, I used to ask people, hey, can you teach me? They were like, yeah, man, get your number to this and the third. Never get back from them again. I will say some people at Oakwood did help me, and I want to shout those people out. That's Daniel Scott. He helped me with a lot of stuff that I needed help with. James Black. He helped me with a lot of stuff I needed help with. Who else? Steven. He gave me 1 or 2 lessons, and I appreciate him. He's a busy guy. Fred. He even helped me some too. Lou. He helped me at Madison Mission.
Yeah, good guys, good guys.
Yeah, and they helped me. Now I put it to you this way too. When I first got to Oakwood, I was like, I'm gonna play for DP. I'm gonna play for VOT or somebody. I'm gonna play for them.
Yeah.
Went to DP, love DP to death. I said I ain't supposed to be here. I went to VOT, tried out for the organ position, freshman now. I got in, I made it. But when I got in it, God started talking to me. He was like, you ain't supposed to be here. It's something else you can be doing with your time. And everybody thought I was crazy when I dropped out. Like, I quit. That was the one thing I would tell other musicians too. It's not giving up necessarily if you know it's something greater on the other side of it. Now, sometimes God will send you through a test. And I believe that was a test. It taught me patience, and it taught me faith, and it taught me how to learn music. But this is not where I was supposed to be at that point in time, I feel like. That's how I feel about it. But Oakwood has been teaching me a lot. I've been getting some great opportunities at Oakwood. Monty Newbill, shout out to him. He gave me an opportunity last year to be the minister of music of chapel. So music coordinator rather. And I love it. I'm not even gonna lie. Honestly, no shade to him. They can hire AYL. I don't feel like sitting in all those meetings and stuff. That just ain't me. I feel like, tell me what you want, and I just give it to you. Let me push it out. And I just enjoyed it, and I love it, and I love the people. I appreciate everybody that worked with me. I appreciate him for giving me this opportunity. But yeah, what was the other part of the question? I forgot.
No, just telling. Just you went on and started telling your testimony, but you're giving advice to younger musicians that are coming up, man.
What I say? Stay with God. Then I said,
yeah, that was number 1. You've been on number 1 and been giving your testimony ever since.
Yeah. So number 2, I would say make sure you practice and get acquaintance yourself with get around people who you want to be like and who wants the same thing that you want. Oftentimes I found myself being like musically attracted to people that were beasts on the organ, but because they thought that, hey, he may be better than me one day and may take my church or take my position, they wouldn't teach me nothing. Hey, guys literally be playing. They'll like play like so I can't see what their hands doing. But that's why I say train your ear. I ain't got to look at what you're doing. I hear it. I know what number you're doing. I know what voicing you're doing. Train your ear. But get around people that want the same thing that you want for you. I recommend you getting a mentor, somebody that's going to sew into you, tell you when you're right, tell you when you're wrong. And it doesn't necessarily have to be all straight up music. You got to build some type of relationship to your mentor. Sharana taught me something the other day. She told me, she said, it's hard to correct somebody when you haven't poured into their, what we call, emotional bank account. So in other words, if you say you my drummer or whatever, and we just start playing together, because if you miss a lick, I can't get on you and like fuss you out, like get at you like that, because you might get offended, because we don't know, we ain't really like gel together like that. But if I like, we go out to eat, we go shopping, we share together and stuff like that, you may receive it better.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's why I say build a relationship. Like my mentor, is Raymond Jones. Raymond is a beast on the organ. This dude, that dude is amazing. He gave me a lot of opportunities. We got some new stuff coming out. I'm getting into writing music. He's writing music, and we get ready to get this thing rolling.
Nice.
So we, but yeah, get you a mentor. Get you somebody that's gonna sow into you and not be jealous of you.
Nice.
Work for you.
So, man, thanks for stopping by, hanging out with us here at iSpeak-M.U.S.I C, man. Great, wonderful story, man. Great advice, man. And this, I only see nothing but up coming from you, man. You have a whole soul about you to be 19, and that's a really cool thing. So, like always, I don't end the show. You end the show the iSpeak-M.U.S.I C way. So go ahead and close us out, man.
My name is Jalen Thompson, and I speak music.
All right, man. Thanks for having us, man.